Good evening, everybody. My name is Rick Hasse. I teach here in the College of Business for the University of La Verne, and welcome to our 8-week summer session, Accounting and Finance. This course is required in the MBA program, especially if you have not had experience with accounting or finance. And this covers both those disciplines in 8 weeks. God save us on this one. But that's what our responsibilities are in this class, is to give you the basics of how to produce and determine business transactions and produce financial statements, and what is the definition of capital and capital fundraising, finance in a corporation. That's what we'll be studying, and I hope you've all had a chance to review the syllabus and our course schedule. We're going to be starting off tonight rather slow. We have a couple of students who cannot make it tonight, but just for everybody's information, I record each lecture. I'm recording it now and we'll post it to our website at D2L. Another rule of a synchronous course is that everybody's cameras need to be on. I need to see you. That's the difference between a synchronous class and an asynchronous class, meaning asynchronous is just online, no class time. You'll never see the professor unless he or she does videos. This class, due to the requirements of your MBA study, is synchronous, meaning the professor needs to see you every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And to review our courses and listen to the lectures and participate in the class. So if you have the capability of turning on your camera, I would appreciate that. If you do not have the capability of turning on your camera, hopefully you can fix that situation before the next class next Tuesday. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. Welcome. Melissa, always a pleasure. Thank you. So welcome, everybody. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that comment and look forward to seeing your lovely face next Tuesday. Thank you. So again, this class is a unique class in your MBA study because as any person getting a master's degree in business administration, you're concentrating maybe on marketing or finance or accounting or management or something, but you need the basic skills and discipline of what accounting is as far as a manager is concerned. If any of you, and I'm sure a lot of you work, if any of you have sat in a meeting with a supervisor or a leader of your company and they have no idea what the hell's going on as far as their finances are concerned or their accounting, that does not speak well for their leadership capabilities in the organization. So this class is to give you all, the MBA student, the necessary skills for using accounting or understanding accounting and understanding finance in the interpretation and the studies and the discipline of your MBA studies. So that's what this is all about. So tonight I'll be going over just the basic definition of the language of accounting. I know that sounds kind of weird, but accounting is a different language. And to understand that language is a key component of being a manager in a company or running your own business. And we'll be talking about that this evening. Next week, we'll be talking about Chapter 2, which is the actual business transactions. But first off tonight, I want to go over our course syllabus, some of the requirements of this class, making sure that you get the value that you deserve out of this 8-week of study. Yes, 8 weeks goes by quickly, but I'm going to be sounding like here a snobby business professor, and I apologize in advance. You guys are graduate students. I shouldn't have to burp you and tell you what you need to do to be successful. You've been around the block. You are professional graduate students So I'm not treating you like freshman or sophomore undergraduate students. I anticipate that you know that you need to prepare for every class. I anticipate you should know to understand when the material and assessments are due, and you should understand what to do to be necessary to study the material in this class. If you need help with understanding that, no problem. I'd be happy to explain things and help you. That's why we have our Wednesday evening student hours. But I'm going in expecting you all to be professional graduate students, and I expect that. So if you have any concerns about that, if you have any concerns that you might miss something, all you have to do is ask. I am the simplest and easiest professor, not in as far as grading is concerned, but as far as availability and getting the information you need to be successful. That's my job. One of the challenges of being on an online or remote situation is that the responsibility is up to you to get engaged. I can't sit in a classroom and dazzle you with my vocabulary about accounting and finance, and so you'll get engaged. It's up to you to be responsible and engaged in this class. So that's the bottom line of all this. So I encourage Becky and Zhenju to make sure that you get your cameras on as soon as possible so I know who you are and see you that you're engaged and not driving around in your car taking this class. I have one pet peeve for graduate study, and I'll get that right off the bat and won't have to bring it up again. If you're driving around in a car at a parking lot or on the 101 freeway or the 210 freeway listening to this course lecture, I don't want to see you. I don't want you to participate.
Yes. Hello, Professor.
Hello, yes.
I am Junyu Jiang. Yeah, maybe my computer has something wrong with the camera. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. But I appreciate you letting me know. That's fine, Genju. Don't worry
Yeah,
about that.
next time I will change my computer.
That's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm glad. I appreciate you letting me know. So where was I? Oh yeah, pet peeves. No driving around in your car. That is not graduate study. All right. If you have to drive in your car to watch this class, don't show up and watch the video of the class. But remember, if you don't show up, that doesn't speak well for your class participation in this class. So just make sure you're aware of that in future classes. Professor Hasse is a great guy, a nice guy. He'll do anything he can to make you guys get all A's. But if he sees you driving around in a car taking this class, that's not good. Okay, I got that out of the way. All right, don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's change things. This is our every week I will post a syllabus every Sunday prior to the week's discussion of what we'll plan to do, the agenda, what's going to be happening, if there's going to be any problems I'm going to review. Remember, there's no homework problems. There's just assignments and that sort of thing as far as the assessment, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself, because probably I don't remember, none of your names here look very familiar. Melissa does a little bit, but be that as it may, I have been a professor here at the University of La Verne for over 35 years. I am one old gangster. And being a professor for over 35 years, I have taught in the MBA program and the undergraduate program, accounting and finance. Prior to me being a professor, I was an investment banker. I was an investment banker on Wall Street for the firm JP Morgan, which now is called JP Morgan Chase. And after 10 years at JP Morgan, I came out to California and started my own very small investment banking firm, at first in Pasadena and then in Claremont. Did that for 25 years and finally got out of the game, sold my business to my employees, thought about retiring. And then when I did that, a couple of universities contacted me about teaching. And I took the easiest deal, which was closer to home, which I live in Claremont. So I decided to teach at the University of La Verne. So I am not what you call a PhD professor who's done his research on studying the accounting habits of sheep in New Zealand. My background is professional, is working in the real world, and that's what I hopefully will bring to this class and help you all understand this material for your NBA study. So again, remember my name, Rick Hasse. Okay, another thing to remember, cameras on, and the last thing to remember, no driving in your car to take this course. Okay, got that nonsense out of the way. Let's bring this up now. By the way, I'm calling from my office in lovely Claremont, California on this lovely Tuesday. All right, where are we here? Okay. Here we go. Sent you this a few days ago. But this is our syllabus for our course, and it gives you the basic information about our course, and I hope you've had a chance to review it. But I want to go over a couple of things that are important for you that'll help you manage this class, because I'm sure most of you, even though it's summer, have busy schedules, are working or are taking other courses in the program or doing all of that. And so I want to make sure you can manage your time and manage your effectiveness in getting value out of this course. Ying, what's for dinner tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just wanted maybe
I didn't. I didn't. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, Ying, Ying, you don't know me yet. I have a sense of humor, and I tend to tease people, and I tease myself. So I'm just being goofy. So don't worry about that. You
Well,
please.
I think I have 10 of that. But when
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought I turned off all the
Oh, okay.
sound and the video, but when I joined in again, I just found it's 10.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Just-
sorry.
No. I ordered a pizza. It'll be here in about an hour for myself. So we'll all get to have dinner. Okay. So again, this class is over the next 8 weeks. We meet every Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. I will record every session in case students want to review the lecture, if they're doing an assignment or a paper that week, you can review it. We will not tonight. We're only going to go to about 7:15 because it's the first night. We're missing some students, and I don't want to get too involved tonight before everybody's on board. But we'll go over the basics of Chapter 1 tonight. So again, if you need to get a hold of me, there's my cell phone, there's my email address, and also every Wednesday night, I have office hours this summer. In other words, it's a special Zoom link where you can Zoom me Wednesday evenings from 5 to 8 o'clock and ask me questions. Get any help, any guidance, any clarifications. All I do on Wednesday night is just stare at the computer like this, waiting for your calls. That's the open hours on Wednesdays. But also, I'm available any time of the day. You can just send me a text, send me an email, post to the discussion forum at our D2L website. If you have any concerns, want to get together, I'm going nowhere this summer. I lead a boring life. All I do is play golf and teach. So so you can, if you need to get a hold of me at any time.
Hey, Professor, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Do you know who Alex Kashishian is?
I certainly do. He's the former student of mine in the undergraduate area. His father is the CFO of the University of La Verne, who doesn't like me very well because I always cause trouble. But at the same time, he's a good man. He's about ready to retire next year, which is sad for the university, but great for him. And yes, I do know Alex. How do you know Alex? Are you in law school?
Yeah. So Alex and I came in the same time, and he was actually you talk about golf just now. He was actually texting me to go to the range with him. But I told him, hey, I've got a class, but he said to say hello to you. So
Yes,
I just wanted to relay the message.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. We'll tell him I said hi. Thomas, you're a golfer?
I try to be. I'm trying. I'm working on it. But
here's another helpful hint for you all here. If you're going to be in a position of management in a company or even in your own firm, get to know how to play golf, because you do a lot of business. Trust me, I'm not kidding on this. You do a lot of business on the golf course, and a lot of people, even if you're terrible, I'm terrible, but you do a lot of business on the golf course. So good. So Thomas, you're getting a combined MBA and law degree?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Impressive. Very good. All right. So welcome, Thomas. So yes, please tell Alex I said hello. All right. So again, we do have a text in this course. It's the 9th edition of Financial and Managerial Accounting. But as I indicated to you, this is not, the textbook is not required if you don't want to spend $5,000 or whatever the hell it costs to purchase it. I provide all the material from the text in the D2L, PowerPoints, course class, text outlines, everything, as you maybe you've already seen some of them. But if you want to purchase the book, that is fine too. But it is not a mandatory in this class. For some students who maybe feel a little bit shaky about accounting and finance, maybe you're not a numbers person, or you are a little green in this regard, the textbook would help you with that. But I will provide, as you will find out tonight, many videos and many files from the textbook that should help you and make up if you do not have or purchase the textbook. So don't make that a big make or break point with this class, is buying the textbook. Okay, this class is designed for MBA students who have not completed fundamentals of accounting or financial management courses in your undergraduate study. Shame on you. Did not do this as an undergraduate? I can't believe it. You have not experienced Mr. Hassey in the undergraduate, you're missing something. Yeah, right. Okay. But this is an overview of accounting, the accounting cycle, financial statement preparation, managerial accounting, which is like cost accounting, and aspects of budgeting and cost volume analysis, as well as financial statement analysis, financial ratio analysis, and capital fundraising. So it's a great course. It's just a lot to do in 8 weeks. Here's our learning objectives, and I find this helpful for some students to get a broad idea of what we're going to be doing in this course. It's just the main course objectives by week, what I'll be going over, what I'll be talking about. This gives you a good idea how the course flows throughout our 8 weeks. All right. There are 4 types of grades in this class. Class participation is 10%, which, if you've seen my sheet here, I take notes every class of who came on, who doesn't have a camera, who's driving around their car from McDonald's eating while I'm teaching, whatever. But class participation, and trust me, that's an easy A for all of you, is 10%. And then we have a project, a case study project, and I'll be talking more about that in a little bit when you'll be picking a company. Part of the discussion forum tonight is for you to tell me a little bit about yourself, but also pick a company, a publicly traded company. And you're going to be doing some work with this company throughout our class. One of the things you'll be working at is reviewing the company's 10K financial statements. What's a 10K? Shame on you for not knowing that as an MBA student, but that's okay. The 10K is a required filing by every company, every publicly traded company in the United States, by the Securities and Exchange Commission, which gives a view of their audited financial statements and their financial information. One of the things you'll be doing is downloading this 10K for the company that you select and writing a paper answering a series of questions to see how the subject of accounting and finance that we're studying from a text and from our lectures applies to the real world in your review of the actual 10K of the company you selected. That paper is due the last day of our course, Sunday, August 3rd. You'll have a series of assignments in this class and a final examination. Assignments are basically prep for the final. Sample problems, review problems, going over questions, and then we have a comprehensive final examination on the last week of class. Naturally, all this material is take home. And also, we now live, and I'm sure Thomas, as a law student, you know all about this, and many of you, we now live in the world of AI, where AI can be a source of data, a source of thinking that you know what's going on with the subject, but at the same time hiding that you don't know what's going on with a subject by using AI. And we'll talk more about our AI use. I encourage students to use AI, but at the same time, if they're using it, to make sure you've referenced that and note it in the footnotes or the references of the work that you're doing. So we'll talk more about AI, but I don't have a problem with it, but I want you to use AI as a tool, not as a way of hiding your trying to get an A or a B without really spending much research into that work. So we'll talk more about that later. You are required to be an active participant in each class. If you cannot attend class, you need to let me know about that. As I said earlier, I do record all the class sessions, but because this is a synchronous class, you are expected to attend. Academic honesty, that's along the subject of AI and other things. You are required, there will be no group work in this class. Everybody's on their own and have to be accountable on your own for your material. And then the usual propaganda from the University of La Verne, and we'll go through that. One of the things I want you to know that as an online student or a remote online student, you still have all the ability to use the University of La Verne if you are living on campus. And maybe some of you might even be living on campus taking this course. But you're entitled to any information, any social work, any issues that you might have with health, anything, you're entitled to all these services. And I list them here: counseling, student health services, campus safety, academic success center. Though I'm be transparent, the academic success center is not really designed for NBA students. If you need help with this class, it's better to come to me and I will forward on any information or help you. But the Academic Success Center is mainly designed for undergraduate work, and especially they're not really totally functional in the summertime. Center for Neurodiversity and Learning, Wellness, and the Leo Food Pantry. You have these services all are available to you as a remote online student. And if you need any help with that or need any information, please be sure to ask me. Here's our plan for this summer. This is a good thing to get and to print out or have it on your desktop or whatever. Gives you the key dates of our class, starting from this week with your first work due Sunday, June 15th, ending on Friday, August 8th, when I post the final grades to the D2L. These are the key areas of our class. Notice you see a series of assignments, assignments 1, 2, 3, and 4. They all are prep work or study work for the final examination. There's your case study paper. It's due on this for July 27th, but you have until August 3rd if you'd like an extension. And let's talk about extensions. When I say work is due June 15th, or work or an assignment is due to be posted on June 22nd or June 29th, that's important. But at the same time, if you need extra time to post work, I do not have a problem with that, and it does not influence your grade whatsoever. If you need a few extra days to post some work, that is not a problem. All you have to do is just let me know so I can make sure my D2L knows that you'll be a little late and doesn't shut you out of that file folder. But I do not have a problem with students taking extra time and posting work after the due date. So note that in the future. And then our weekly study here. As you can see, we're covering a wide variety of chapters. We cover 1, 2, and 3, which is the basics of accounting cycle. Then we jump ahead into financial statement analysis, and perhaps the most important financial statement for MBA students, the statement of cash flow. Then we go into cost volume analysis, which is a key managerial aspect of accounting. And then we talk briefly about budgets and then capital budgeting and investment analysis. So as you can see, we go the whole area of soup to nuts, and we cover the whole textbook. Thank God we don't cover every chapter. But as you can see, that's the material and that's the outline that I've given you in this class. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions on our course syllabus or schedule? Excellent.
I don't have a question on the syllabus, but on the site, mine has business 493 attached instead of 600. It says personal money management. When I open the syllabus, it's showing, it says business 600, but when I actually open it, it's showing business 493.
All right, let me take a look at that.
Okay.
Maybe I made a goof. Sorry, nobody else has yelled at me about that. Thanks, Melissa. Let's
Yeah.
take a look. You got me there. Boy, Mr. Hassey, you're a sharp guy. You post the wrong friggin' syllabus to the class. All right, I'm going to change this as we speak. So just let me take this because this is ridiculous. What kind of professor posts the wrong outline to a class? Let's do this right now and I'll fix it for you. Thank you, Melissa, for speaking up on that. Some of you are looking at what the hell course am I in? There we go. Now I don't look like a total idiot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's double check. See, I just signed off as a teacher and now I'm signing in as a student. So let's make sure I did it right. Cool. Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you, Melissa. At least I got the schedule correct in those folders. I didn't totally screw up. I have to admit, and it's inexcusable, but I was traveling. I was in Canada last week, and I was setting this up in a hotel room that had really horrible internet. I think the Canadians found out that I was American and they wanted to nail me because Americans are not too popular over in Canada these days. And so I think they tried to sabotage me, but that's still not an excuse. Okay, a couple other things about me in this section of course syllabus is faculty information. Just give you a, there's my mugshot that was taken at the LA County Jail just a few months ago. And so this is a little bit about my background and a little bit about myself. Also, again, another link to our Wednesday student hours that you can come on and talk to me and discuss. So there's all that. And then there's an area of our D2L. Let me bring this back up. That is called Zoom and YouTube links. When I record all the classes, and I'm recording ours tonight, I will post these files or these videos to this Zoom link file folder, so you'll have a history of all the classes. And secondly, it'll also go to the appropriate weekly folder, so I'll post it to two areas. And again, I'm going to go back to the syllabus here. We also have a YouTube site. And the YouTube site, matter of fact, I gave it to you in our, there we go here, in an email that I sent you. Let's take a look at this. I want to show you where all the links are. We have a YouTube site. In the email I sent you the other day, that YouTube site has all the videos of our class and also other information videos that might give you some backup to the topics that I go over. I like to use YouTube. It's easy, accessible to our students. It's a great place to store video content. And as you can see, here's our YouTube playlist for our class this summer. And there's some videos there about what is accounting? What's the accounting equation? What is the accounting cycle? All different videos defining the topics you're reading in the text, or we're talking about this. And I have found for students to prepare for a class like on Tuesday to go to the YouTube playlist and play a couple of videos about the topics I'll be discussing that night. It's a good way of prepping for the class, understanding the material, and especially if you don't have a textbook, these videos can take the place of that. So there's all kinds of videos going through the whole class, and I will update these periodically during the class. But so we have a YouTube website. The great thing about the YouTube website, especially for you as MBA students, as you go on in your MBA studies, and this site is always available to you. You can go there whenever into the future and take, oh, what did we talk about in accounting about this subject? Maybe I'll go back to the YouTube playlist and either play my lecture video or play that topic in a video. It might help you in other studies and other ways of preparing. I will leave our D2L site open for 2 years. So you also have access to the D2L website of our course. But the YouTube playlist is ongoing, and you can use that as an information source, especially when you are done with your studies. And you could refer to this material in your management capability. Thomas can refer to this material when somebody's going to sue him down the road. Just teasing Thomas. But it's a good source of data and information for you. So that's the good thing about this YouTube website. And we won't be seeing any YouTube videos this week, but next week I'll be showing some videos from this site in our class. Okay. Let's go back to this again. We're almost done with the preliminary nonsense, so hang on. Got too many files open. I got to keep track of these things. Hang on. There we go. If anybody has any problems, I know this past weekend, the university, the internet and the use of D2L was threatened by some hacking and some computer work. So if you ever have any problems with getting in or out of D2L or using any of the internet capabilities of the university, I will, if I find out in advance what's going on, I will post it to our to you, so you in an email, so you know what's going on. But I know they're doing some work this summer on the internet and on the system at La Verne, so so you can do that. Okay, let's get out of this. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a headache going in and out of this. I apologize. Okay, here we go. So here, as you can see right now, and there'll be more files added during the course of the summer. There's the course syllabus and information. There's the Zoom and YouTube links. And as you can see, I have the first 2 weeks file folders up. And if you go to week 1, a couple of things that you'll see every week in this course: the agenda, learning assignments, where you can click on that and see, okay, what do I got to do this week? All right, I got my class on Tuesday. I got to read chapter 1 or review it. I got to look at practice set A27, and we'll talk more about that later. And then we have a discussion post. Okay, so every week you'll see learning assignments just to keep you up to date. Then I have an introduction, which is basically a chapter outline of the key points of chapter 1. And then I have a PowerPoint of the text of chapter 1. The PowerPoint, some students like to use the PowerPoint. It's a quick way of reviewing the material for a text. And it's a little bit slow tonight. Here it comes. So there's the PowerPoint that you can download these files and download them to your desktop or download them to your flash drive and keep a running file of all the material in this class. And that looks a little messed up, and I know why, because of the system work this week, but I'll clean that up later. Okay. Here's some review problems, and I'll talk more about those earlier. What is accounting? And here's one of those videos I was talking about, and that's on the playlist. You click on this, and it's a brief definition of accounting. And the same with the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus capital. So there's some key videos that you can just click on and look at your leisure or in preparation for a class. So every week it's like this setup: agenda, learning assignments, PowerPoints, key files for you to review. And I urge you to try to do this on the weekend or the Monday before a Tuesday class. You'll have a little bit easier way of interpreting what I'm going to be reviewing and talking about, and in preparation for that, and it makes it easier for you to get engaged in the class. Okay. So I know this is a lot of stuff to throw at you all at once, but again, this D2L site is used to help you prepare, help you get engaged with the material, and as a follow-up, help you review the material. And once we start getting into assignments, but that won't be until next week. Okay, so let's get to this, and then we'll move on. There we go. You know, one of the things, whenever you mention accounting, two words usually come up, and I'm going to be frank here. Geek, geek, or wow, that's important. Accounting is a subject where a lot of people just shy away from. I'll let somebody else worry about this. I'll let somebody else record all the business transactions and interpret the financial information. Just tell me what's going on so I can manage my company. But that's not a good way of looking at accounting and finances as well. It's understanding what it does for you as a manager, what it does for you as running your department, running your business, seeking capital or investors in your company. You need to understand not exactly how it all is done on a journal entry by journal entry basis, but more importantly, why do you need it? Because it identifies, it records, and it communicates business events of your organization. That's a key thing. It's a way of organizing your data to tell people, investors, managers, the government, how you're doing. And that's why we have accounting. And that's why it's so important to understand that as a manager of a business. There's two types of accounting. There's external users, shareholders, people lending you money, auditors, regulators. They take the data and review how your company's doing. Are you going bankrupt? Are you making a lot of money? What's going on? But then there's internal users, and that's managers within the organizations. Purchasing, HR, production, R&D, marketing, understanding what's going on. Or this is mainly caused, and I'm sure a lot of you work for companies where you have a department budget or an office budget. That's the internal use of accounting. It's using accounting data to plan, to monitor, to oversee your operations. Accounting is called the language of business because it communicates data that help people make better decisions. People using accounting information are divided into the two groups, external or internal. The first half of this course will be mainly talking about providing accounting data for external users, financial statements. The latter half of the course will be looking at managerial accounting, cost accounting, budgeting accounting, helping the internal managers of an organization understand things. I'll tell you, and none of this might be very interest to you now, but it is very interesting to my undergraduate students. There's a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities in accounting these days, especially with the way companies are set up, being global, multinational companies. They need people to manage their accounting in different languages, different currencies, different regulations, and accounting opportunities in corporate America, be it private accounting or public accounting, CPA firms, is huge right now. Artificial intelligence and data analytics, the software used in accounting these days. Accounts are needed to deeply advance AI systems and analyze reports and graphics. I just had a meeting last week with a company, I can't mention the company's name, in downtown LA. They're probably not working this week with all the trouble they got going on down there, but in downtown LA, that needs help in transferring their accounting data to AI software and AI generation of that data. That's a growing area, a fast growing area that we need to be aware of in this accounting business. How is accounting monitored? It's called Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, GAAP. Identify the legal, ethical ways of accounting. Many of you maybe have heard of companies like Enron in your lifetime, companies that breached the ethical values of managing their financial affairs, cheated, in other words. You can't do that. If you're getting money from investors, if you're borrowing money from financial institutions, if you're managing and running pension plans or investment plans for your employees, you have to identify ethical areas of concern within the business organization and deal with that. Ethics is big in accounting. Nobody's going to lend you money if you don't have the proper accounting controls and systems. Fraud is a big area. One of the reasons why I'm having you do the case paper in our class, the 10K. The 10K is a financial statement by public auditors of a company in regards to the regulations of the Securities and Exchange Commissions of the United States government. You have to prove to the world that your company is being ethically run without any fraud or criminal ideas. And that's important. You cannot function as a company if you're a sleazebag organization. It ain't going to happen. You might be able to get away with it for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. As I said earlier, generally accepted accounting principles. It's a way of regulating and making sure a company does their accounting information and management of their accounting controls correctly. It's an organization that's kind of like, how can I define it? It's kind of like, here's a good one. It's kind of like Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is a group of 32 companies, 32 baseball teams, but they're managed by the commissioner's office. The commissioner office manages and makes sure nobody's cheating, manages and makes sure the rules are kept by the baseball teams. So GAAP is like that. It's an organization that oversees the accounting standards of companies. Then also there's FASB, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, which is an authority provided by the Securities and Exchange Commissions that authorize them to monitor generally accepted accounting principles. You have to be, if you want to become a public company, if you want, meaning in other words, selling your stock in the market, you have to pass a variety of rules and regulations according to FASB, GAAP, and the Securities and Exchange Commission in order to be a publicly owned company. As I mentioned earlier, there's global, worldwide businesses. Now, a company just not does business in America. They do business around the world, China, India, everywhere. You have to follow accounting standards in all those countries. And that's an important thing. How do you provide sound accounting data? You have to have objectives. We're going to prepare our financial statements. Remember, the big three financial statements are the income statement, the balance sheet, and the statement of equity. A fourth, and this is more pertaining to finance, is the statement of cash flows. Those are the objectives of an accounting program, a system, to provide accurate, efficient, transparent data about a company. That's the qualitative characteristics of accounting. Information, numbers. You have to be able to define and provide analysis of your financial statements and your competition. And how are you going to recognize and measure your data? In the United States, it's the dollar. In China, it's the yuan. In Britain, it's the euro or whatever. So what is the method that you measure your data is important. That's the conceptual framework of accounting. What are the objectives? How are you giving that information and how are you defining it? And what measurement are you recording it? We already talked about GAAP. One of the key things about GAAP is how you measure accounting data, full disclosure of accounting information. How do you recognize revenue? That's an important thing. A lot of companies get in trouble by that. Let's say Melissa and I are doing business together. I'm picking on Melissa tonight. Melissa and I are doing business. And I say, Melissa says, Mr. Hasse, could you do a financial statement for my business for me? Sure. Whenever she says sure, does not mean that I've provided that recognition and I can start billing her for my services. I can only bill Melissa for my services when I actually have provided the accounting analysis that she asked for. I can't bill or recognize revenue until the service is provided. That's a very important concept of accounting. Just because somebody says I'm going to make some money doesn't mean they have to record that transaction. It's not a transaction until the service has been provided. And the same thing with expense recognition. If tomorrow I go out and hire Thomas to be an employee of mine, and I say, Thomas, I'd like you to work for me this summer, I'm going to pay you $5,000 a month to work for me. By me signing up Thomas and hiring him at $5,000 a month is not recognizing expense. He hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't gone to work for me yet. So I can't put in my books that I've paid Thomas $5,000 for the month of June as wages because he has not performed those wages or those hours yet. I cannot recognize the expense until the service, Thomas's service or wages, is provided me. I think of the two main parts of GAAP and accounting assumptions and information is how you recognize revenue and how you recognize expense. And here they are right here. And these are two key points in accounting principles. Here's another important part. It's called full disclosure. And Thomas, as a lawyer, will understand this. You have to fully disclose everything in your financial records and information. You either disclose it in the financial transactions or the reporting of financial statements, or you disclose it in the notes to the financial statements. If you do not do full disclosure of your financial records and you're a publicly traded company, you are breaking the law. You can be sued and you can go to jail for that. Full disclosure is necessary. Now, this is, I'm going to speak honest about this. This is a fine line, how companies handle this. Geez, we're paying our CEO this year $20 million to run our company. We don't want that to go public. We don't want people to know that we're paying our CEO $20 million. They're going to think we're loaded and we have too much money. but you have to fully disclose that you're paying them $20 million a year. Well, how do you get around that? Well, you set up their pay based on maybe deferred income over time, or you set up their contract to, like Mr. Ohtani on the Dodgers. Mr. Ohtani is making $7 million this year, but $700 million of his contract is deferred until 2045. So he's getting paid a big salary, but he's only getting actually paid this year $7 million. Full disclosure, you have to disclose these arrangements within your organization. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to be having you look at the 10K financial statement of a company. Why? Because that's full disclosure, and that's where all the details of a business are located. Another major part of accounting is accounting assumptions. What do you assume is going on? Well, you assume, called the going concern assumption, that a company will always be in existence. It's always going to be in operation. Now, naturally, that probably is not going to happen. It probably will be sold or closed or liquidated during the course of a lifetime, but you treat it as a going concern. You use dollars or whatever your currency is where you're doing business. Time is an essential part of accounting, usually a fiscal year, 12 months. But many companies define their accounting records by month, by quarter. But the fiscal year is the most important time period assumption of accounting. And each business or each organization is defined as a separate entity. I cannot combine General Motors and Ford into one financial statement. They're two separate owned organizations. So it's called the business entity assumptions. Now, I know this stuff is not too exciting and boring, but it sets the basics by which we do accounting, but what everybody expects out of accounting events and transactions. There are three types of businesses in the world, and many of you probably already know about this. There's the proprietorship, there's the partnership, and there's the corporation. Proprietorship is one owner. A partnership is two or more owners of equal partners. And the third is a corporation, which are all the transactions we'll be studying in this course, where there are shareholders who actually own and manage the company. They have a board of directors that hires the management of the company. One of the key points of a corporation is limited liability. And for your lawyers in the audience, or any of you who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, that's why when you start a business, you want to incorporate, become an LLC, a limited liability corporation, become an LLP, a limited liability partnership. Why? Because here's an example. If I was a sole proprietor, and I was a sole proprietor for many years, if you came into my business opened the door and tripped on the doorstop of my company, fell down in my office and cracked your skull, you could sue me for damages, for loss of wages, for medical expenses, because your accident occurred in my building, my business. But since I'm a sole proprietor, you can also sue me, Rick Hassey, the individual. Because I'm the sole owner of the company, you can take away my assets, my personal assets, in your lawsuit. Very dangerous. So if I become a corporation and that same thing happens, you walk into my business, trip on the doorstop, crack your head, sue me for damages and lost wages, you can only sue the assets of the company, the corporation. You cannot sue the owners, the shareholders, the managers, me. You can only sue the assets of the corporation. It's called limited liability. So that's why in the last 15, 20 years, many law firms, many public accounting firms, many doctors' offices have become no longer partnerships or sole proprietors, but limited liability corporations, where they still have the framework of partnerships and sole proprietor, but they're treated financially, legally as corporations. And that's been a key point of the development of the tax law and of managing businesses in the last 20 years is reducing the liability to the ownership of the company by becoming a limited liability corporation. And we'll talk more about that later, but that's a key concept. That's nothing. Okay. If there's anything to learn this first night, sports fans, is the accounting equation. Assets, things that you own, equals how did you get them? Liabilities, you either borrowed money from somebody or you have equity. What is equity? As you can see here, it's stock less dividends plus revenues minus expenses or net income. The financial statements of a company are all managed under this accounting equation. What you own is financed either by debt or equity investment in the company. It's called the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. It all drives around this equation. A key point. So naturally, by this accounting equation, this is what sometimes gets students a little confused. For every business event, there's at least two things happening. Example, I provide a service to somebody and I give them an invoice for $100. They now owe me $100. They have 30 days to pay me. I provided a service for $100 and I billed the customer. What's the asset? Accounts receivable. They owe me the money. It's a receivable. What's the other side of the accounting equation? Revenue. I've provided a service. So now I have $100 of assets receivable, and it was funded by, I provided $100 of services, revenues. Every friggin' business event from Walmart to mom and pop hardware store in Claremont records their business events exactly like that. One event, one transaction, at least two things have happened. And always the accounting equation is in balance. If there's any concept I need you to get out of this first week and going into the second week, is that concept of the accounting equation. Huge. Makes everything a lot easier. For example, here's an example, kind of like the one I just gave you. Mr. Taylor forms a consulting business named Fast Forward, and he sets it up as a corporation. Mr. Taylor invests $30,000 cash in the new company in exchange for common stock. So he's setting up a business. Thomas, as a lawyer, you're going to need to get to know all about this. You're hired by a company to set up the company, incorporate the company. Your main task here is to set up the business for Mr. Taylor as a corporation. You file it with the Secretary of State of the state that you're doing business in, and you're off and running. But this is an accounting event. He's forming a new company with $30,000 cash. You're getting an asset, cash, and you're getting equity, common stock. And here's how that looks in the accounting equation. There's the accounting equation, assets, liabilities, equity. And there, notice on the asset side, we have cash. He's put in $30,000, he probably put it into a bank account. And at the same time, where did that $30,000 cash come from? Common stock. He invests in his business. The company is off and running. They got $30,000 in their bank, asset cash, and the owner has invested $30,000 in common stock. In return for that cash, he now has stock in the business worth $30,000. The company is off and running. But before he can do business, he has to go out and purchase some supplies. He's got to be able to do his services, do his business. So he goes out and pays $2,500 cash to buy some office supplies. So he goes to Office Depot to get pen, paper, computers, whatever. So now he's spending cash and he's also having and purchasing supplies. He's exchanging one asset for another. And there it is right there. Notice nothing has happened on the right-hand side of the equation. You're just exchanging one asset, cash, for another asset, supply. So those supplies are put into a cupboard or into an office. And then as you use the supplies, they become expense. And that's what we talk about next week when we talk about adjusting entries to record the use of assets as you use them. Clear as mud, huh? Notice the accounting equation is still in balance, 30, 30. We'll do a couple more. Now he's purchasing equipment. Maybe it's computer equipment. Maybe it's office equipment, whatever, for $26,000 of cash. Again, he's spending cash and also creating another asset, equipment. There it is right there. Now, the first question I would ask if I was a student is, Mr. Hassey, why isn't purchasing of $2,500 of supplies and $26,000 of equipment an expense? You're expensing money to purchase something. Why is that not on the right-hand side of the equation as an expense? Here's the reason why. Because nothing has left the business. An expense is when capital or money, cash, leaves the business. That's an expense. But when we purchase office supplies, we're just exchanging cash for supplies that are still sitting in our business. We're spending $26,000 of cash for equipment that's still in our business. It hasn't left the company. Expense is recognized when it leaves the business. Now, in the form of supplies, it's as you use the supplies. Oh, I used $100 of computer paper this week. Then $100 would now become an expense, and you reduce the asset value by $100. How do we expense equipment? Some of you may have already heard about this. It's called depreciation. Depreciation is a way of expensing equipment as you use it up. We'll talk more about this later on, trust me. One last one. Now we're going to buy some more supplies, $7,100 worth, but we're not going to pay cash. We're asking them to give us an invoice and we'll pay you later. So we're going to purchase supplies, pick them up, but now we owe the money. That's called supplies and accounts payable. We now owe the money, but we've still got the supplies. They were delivered to us. We picked them up. They're now in our business. Now we got 30 days to pay the vendor for those supplies. And here we go. Notice the supplies account on the left-hand side of the balance sheet, assets increased by $7,100. And now we have a new account on the right-hand side called liabilities. That tells us that we owe money. We got an invoice for those supplies and we owe $7,100 and have probably 30 days to pay that. Now I'm going to stop right here with the transactions and we'll pick more about this up next week. But this chapter 1 is just defining accounting. If you think we're going to do this example of business events throughout our whole course, you're sadly mistaken. We'll talk about this next week in chapter 2, but the accounting language is to put this in the format, in the format of debits and credits. Here's what we'll be doing next week. Debit cash, 30,000, credit common stock, 30,000. Debit supplies, 2,500. Credit cash, 2,500. Debit equipment, 2,600. Credit cash, 2,600. Debit supplies, 7,100. Credit accounts payable. That's the business events and the transactions that you record as an accountant. One of the things I like to do with that is, if I'm sure all of you have been to Costco, Target, Vons, or any type of retail store. And let's say, what do I have here? Oh yeah, let's say I want to purchase this glass at Target. On the bottom of the glass is a barcode. When you buy that product, you all have done this at the cash register. They slide the glass over the barcode, and you hear a beep. You hear a beep. That beep is the computer of Target recording debit, cash, credit, revenue for Target, recording the business event. That beep is doing an accounting transaction. That's what we're going to be studying these first couple weeks, is how to record these transactions. How it's set up in week 1 or chapter 1 is just giving you a feel for how this all works. But when it comes time to recording the actual business events, we record them in what is called a journal entry. And that's one of the key things that you'll be reviewing in your preparation for our class next Tuesday, recording the events. Now, clear as mud, huh? But it gives us a little beginning of where we're headed this semester or this accounting study. Couple things I wanted you to be aware of. Here's our week 1. Every week, this is what I do. As soon as class concludes on Tuesday night, I post the video of my lecture, so you have a record of, if you want to go back and look through it, I post a video of my lecture. And then I also post a couple of review problems that I'd like you to look at, okay, after the discussion of the evening. They're not for a grade. They're only to prepare you for the assignments down the road. They're not, I'll repeat, they are not for a grade. Some students freak out. Mr. Hassey, what? No, they're not for, they're just practice to help you. So when I post those review problems every week after class on Tuesday, tonight I have to take my wife to an appointment, but I'll post this probably tomorrow morning. Then on Friday before the weekend, I post the solutions and my notes about those problems so you can see what happened. Now, some of you might not be able to look at those problems until the weekend, but some of you might look at them. So again, I post the problems after class, then I post my notes and review of those problems, and then the very first part of class next Tuesday, I'll review those problems to you of what we did. This is the pattern every week. Agenda, learning assignments, PowerPoints, take a look at those prior to class. Hear my lecture, hear the key points of the discussion during the night, and then we'll review problems. And then the next week, the first thing we do is review those problems for the first hour of the class, making sure we can see the application of those problems that we talked about in the prior lecture. This is every week, and these review problems that I post will be your study guides for the assignments. They'll help you prepare for those assignments. And if you have questions, bring those questions up to me in class, whatever, or out of class, whatever you see fit. But that's going to be our schedule. One of the key things that I have found in teaching online is for the student to get the most out of the class is to be consistent every week. You have the same regimen of lecture, review, analysis every week, and that helps you prepare for the assessment of the class later on. There's nothing worse, and I've sat in courses like this where the professor every week changes his or her tune about how they prepare and give you the data. What the hell? You get all mixed up. Now, the only thing I did bad tonight, Melissa caught me, was post the wrong syllabus. But hopefully that will not happen again. If it does, I'm going to kick myself in the you know what. But it won't. And so, but that's the engagement. That's the process by which we do this class. Lecture, problems, review, do it all over again. And so that's so you can count on that. Now, you do have some graded work this week. If you go to the discussions file folder, I'm asking you to do something which represents 10% of your course grade, the class participation. It's a discussion post. I want you to do two things. I want you to briefly give a biography about yourself. Now, every student can see this. And this is good. I want our fellow students, I want me to get to know you. And you give me a brief biography about yourself. Now, you can be as specific or general as possible. Naturally, if you give me your social security number, I would appreciate that. But no, you're not going to do that. But just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you chose Laverne, what do you do, blah, 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 just so we can get to know you. And then in the second part, I want you to select one company, and tell me why you picked that company, because during the next 7 weeks of this class, you're going to be doing some work in regards to this company. You're going to be looking at their financial statements. You're going to be looking at their 10K financial disclosure statement. You're going to be looking at who's their competition. You're going to be looking at, is this company successful, and how to measure that success. So pick a company. And we can do, I know a lot of people here will probably pick Apple. A lot of people will probably pick, Meta or whatever. That's fine. Or Google. That's fine. But it can be a company that you work for that's publicly traded. In other words, have stockholders. It can be any company you want, and we can have multiple students have the same company. But I want you to pick that. So as you can see, Victoria has already posted her analysis. But I want you to also just tell me about yourself, and you pick your company. Now, the purpose of this is not only to do something and start the class, but also show me your expertise in being able to post material to the D2L environment. A lot of us don't have much experience in that. I want us to make sure we have experience. So all you do as a student is you click on that topic, and up will come an explanation, and you just hit Start New Thread, and you give me your name. And now you can go ahead and answer those questions by typing it here. Or you can pre-do your answers on a Word document, copy and paste that Word document into this box, and then hit Post. And now we have your assignment, which I will review and grade before next Tuesday night. Okay? So part of this is making sure you're familiar with posting material and posting work to this environment, because I want to make sure you know how to do that. Some of us don't have much experience with this platform. Some of us have a lot of experience. So that's what I want you to do. So that's your assessed work. All our assessed or graded work is due every Sunday by midnight. But again, as I said earlier, if you need extra time, want to spend a little bit more time on it, all you have to do is just send me a quick email. Mr. Hassey, I'm going to post my work on Monday. Mr. Hassey, I'm going to post my work on Tuesday. No problem. It won't affect your grade whatsoever. So take as much time as you need. Okay. Also in this discussion forum are student questions. If you have specific questions of me, if you have something that's bothering you, just click on that, start a new thread. Name the subject, Mr. Hassey. What the hell are you doing? And you can ask me a comment or anything like that. Okay. So again, this is a way of asking questions and getting some information to me that you might need help. It's called the discussion questions and comments, and there's that. I've decided in this course, usually in online courses, I like to meet with the students individually for professor meetings. But because we only have, as of now, 8 students in this class, I feel I can get to know you and talk with you through our class discussions, and I don't really need to meet with you. So I opted out, instead of a professor meeting, you put together a biography and tell us a little bit about yourself, and I think that'll serve the purpose. But again, the key thing is to select your company this week, so we can begin to do work next week. Your first assignment is next week, and one of the questions will be on the company that you selected this week. Okay, so again, that's in the discussions folder in your D2L area. There we go. So that's our work for this week. So again, review the PowerPoints, review some of the videos that I've posted in week 1. You know where we're headed. I will post tomorrow morning, probably I won't get at tonight, is some review problems I'd like you to look at. Again, if you don't want to look at the review problems, you don't have to. You just want to wait and see how I review them, that's fine. But I encourage you to begin, especially these first couple weeks, to try some hands-on work with the material just to feel comfortable with the accounting transactions. And again, it all depends on your own time management. But just for the sake of transparency, I think, let's say we're only in class tonight about an hour and a half, but usually we're in class 2.5 to 3 hours a week. And I would say you double that for work that I'd like you to do outside of class. So double the amount of class time in the work outside of class. So if we have 2.5 hour class, you should probably have about a 2.5 hour work outside of class, and probably you have an assignment that week to do, and that's how long they usually take, and also to prepare for them. So we're talking about anywhere from 4 to 5, 6 hours a week on this class at this MBA level. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to be honest, if you want to succeed and get something out of the course, you're going to have to spend some time on it. So making sure you manage your time correctly with work and with other classes, with family, with vacations. Now, if you're going on vacation during the course of the class, I don't have a problem with that. As long as you let me know so I can provide the proper material for you. I'll be a little upset that you can't sit on class, but hey, a vacation is a vacation. You should take it. But we'll have to work around that if we need to. All right. Any questions before I say adios for you for this week 1? Melissa? Alexandra, I don't probably said that right. Thomas, Yu, Ying, any questions? Great. Well, I look forward to working with you all. This class is the perfect class for Mr. Hassey because it combines both my 2 favorite subjects. Finances, I'll be honest with you, is my favorite subject because I did that for a career. But accounting I know how important accounting is to management and to being an entrepreneur and to being a successful leader. Accounting is important. So these are the best of both worlds. Now, I'm a little biased here, but if you get some good experience with this course, it's going to set you up nicely for your MBA degree and for future work down the line. So anything I can do to make this pleasurable as possible, please let me know, and if you need anything. So I'm going to post this video later on. Look for some problems tomorrow. Let's try to do them, and you'll see the solutions and maybe an email from me later on in the week when I post all this so you can have some stuff to review over the weekend. If there's nothing else, I look forward to working with you all. And thanks for, summertime is tough to get back engaged with studying and doing work, but also it speeds up the graduation possibilities. So any way that we can help you move along to that graduation, that's what we want to do. So thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you next week. All right. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.